Hello everybody, welcome back to the Pigsty, and tonight we have a very nervous mama. I'm sure everybody's going to make you feel at ease. You'll be fine. So you're always here anyway. It's only difference now is it's just me and you.
Yeah. Hi everybody.
Anybody who doesn't know who Mama is, do you want to introduce yourself? And you're going to have to do it because it's your show.
Well, no, it's technically your show, but I'm Amanda. Hi. I'm Momma Atheist.
And what shows do you do on your channel, Mama?
Atheism stuff and climate change and some fun stuff like TV shows and other things.
You have the Critical Bitches, you have the TV Talk Time, you also have your own wee shows back and forth as well. So, yeah, there's plenty going on. More relaxed, very relaxed atmosphere. Plus, if you don't believe in climate change, she will kill you.
Well, yeah.
You do have some videos out about climate change and things like that, because at the minute that is your field, is it not?
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate on what you do? Just because you're always very quiet. Like, you say that climate change is your job, but do you just sit and stare out the window at the clouds and make stuff up like the flat earthers say, or like what does your job involve?
I mean, basically, I run data through simulations and for predictions, and I also about like where certain ecosystems or how certain ecosystems are running specifically, and I also write academic papers about things specifically lately. My focus has been more on the ocean side of things, I guess. So.
Do you have a favorite doomsday? As because your climate change at the minute is we're all fucked, and you're working in the oceans. Do you have a particular field that you found that you've enjoyed more, or well, not that you can enjoy watching everything die and telling everyone we've got 12 years, but have you one in climate change that you would particularly prefer?
I'm not sure what you mean by what I prefer in climate change.
Something to work on.
Oh no, I mean, when I first started working in the field, I designed solar panel systems. I was really good at that, but I do like, I like research. That's kind of my favorite thing to do. There's not a lot of research in terms of just taking a building or whatever and calculating how many kilowatt hours a month they use and trying to figure out how many panels a system will need. There's not a ton to that.
Lots of math.
Yeah, and I love math, that, but I just I like working with the research, and I like being able to follow, a set of data from point A to point Z, pretty much. So,
so you're basically anal retentive and a control freak.
Yes.
And as you probably wouldn't notice, she is a wee bit of a mouthy bitch as well. But we'll probably get to that in the after party.
Insane.
You did specialise before you left. You were an astrophysicist, though. Is there a reason that you left that? Considering that through private conversations that we have, I know your passion's in climate change, but we all love the sky, the stars, and we've had lots of conversations about that. And why would you? What did take you away from physics?
My first love is always going to be astrophysics. Just the political climate of it. It was kind of a boys' club, and I stumbled into climate science, and I was really good at it, I guess. So. I mean, not that I was okay with astrophysics, but I was just really good at climate science. So
Is there more money
plus,
in
I
climate
felt I
science?
get well. Sorry,
Is there
go
more
ahead.
money in climate science?
No, there's not money in any of this shit. No, I feel like I'm doing more, I guess, in climate science. Like, I don't want to say saving the world. It just feels like I'm contributing more. Uh, I feel like when I do my work, it actually means something. And I mean, again, I didn't. It's not like what I was doing before didn't mean something. That sounds wrong. It's just it it's
More
it's been
poignant.
on my mind for a long time, and I think a lot of people it has. And as climate change has become progressively worse, you know, you feel helpless to a certain degree, and you know, wanting to do something about it, and actually not only wanting to do something about it because I mean you don't necessarily feel like you're even making a drop in the bucket necessarily, but you know, at least you know what's happening, and you while you may not be able to do anything about it, uh, you get a sense of, you know, where we're going as a species, as a globe. um, it's really hard. I don't know, it's personal, it's hard to explain. It
You're
just
more passionate about it, and it's more poignant to actually what's going on at the minute. You know that. Not to say that there's not enough astrophysicists out there, but there's not enough climate scientists. It's something that's relevant to the world right now on a global scale that needs to be fixed. You know, at the end of the day, we all want to find the graviton and figure out quantum gravity and all that crack, but that's down the line a wee bit. At the minute, we need to focus on fucking the planet up for us and trying to get that sorted. So I can definitely see where your passion comes from, and yeah, it's definitely more poignant for what's happening now. So it ruins the next question. Was, do you ever regret leaving astrophysics then?
yes. Only not because I just miss. I like I said, it'll always be my first love, but and I'll always miss it. And I feel like, you know, when people ask me stuff about it, you know, I only got my undergrad in astrophysics, so I don't know, like, you know, I can't rattle off, you know, shit off the top of my head. Plus, it was a really long time ago, so it's not, you know, yeah. I mean, I miss it, and I'm not perfect at it, and it's been a long time, but I am where I am. So
Yeah, no, at least you're honest about it. You know, you do have a wee, at the minute you're running the tail coach of Mark Sargent with the whole go suck my dick, I worked in NASA thing. Like,
yeah.
you know, anyone who doesn't know, she did work in NASA. You know, I don't think she's going to make it as big a deal as everybody else does. But when you're putting someone up against Mark Sargent and they're in a bad mood, it's a very good playing card to put forward.
Yeah.
What is it that you did there? You know, you obviously weren't. Were you an astronaut? Did you get to go to space?
No, no. I didn't even work for the shuttle program, which is why I don't really talk about it a lot because everybody assumes, like, you know, I worked like in Houston or Kennedy or something. No, I worked for this program called the Challenger Learning Center, and we taught children, mostly middle school age kids, about space education. We had a simulator that was both the you know, mission control, and then the other side was the it was like a simulated space station, or not a space station, simulated a shuttle, inside of a shuttle. And so you would, you know, split the kids in half, and you would have them do missions, and it would, you know, it was an Apollo thing, so it was always to the moon and stuff, because it you know, Challenger was the shuttle that exploded back in '86, 6 or 7. Could be wrong, one of those two. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
I should know that. Yeah, but the thing was that the Challenger had a teacher on board. In fact, I don't have it. Should have brought it. My flight jacket is in my other room. The patch that I have on my flight jacket is the Challenger patch, and you can see on it next to McAuliffe's name is a little apple, and that's for her being a teacher. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. That's definitely cool to have. I know that when I went to the Kennedy Space Station, I spent like an hour and a half walking around the gift shop, and over in the limited edition section, and you read the back of it, and there's like, oh, there's a million of these made. So I was determined to find something, and got my wee collection of badges that I've showed you. And yeah, I'm sure it's very poignant to you. You know, regardless of how people you think that people, oh, I worked in NASA, and you think because you tell them that you were just a teacher, it's still something to be respectful of, because you didn't just work there because you walked out of a fucking McDonald's. I'm sure that there was a lot of time and effort put into your studies, like.
Yeah.
Years. How many years was it before you got your degree?
I mean, it was just bachelor's for that, so just 4.
Just 4.
But well, it was for the bachelor's. Like I said, we would we'd split them up, and what was really fun to do was because we would want to build them up to the point where they would finish a mission. So we had the capability to, and it sounds really fucked up considering what I just said, but we could crash them we could crash them into the moon, or we could just have them like not the mission not work at all. So, you know, we would start off with them not completing it, and then by, you know, usually the program was a week long, so the first day and a half would be just all failures, and they would get a little frustrated, but I mean, it was still fun. But then by Wednesday, they would be able to finish the missions, and then by the time the week was over, you know, they were doing the more advanced missions and stuff. So that was fun. I mean, and the thing about that too is that these kids had chosen to be there, like you know, their parents had sent them here. It was something they wanted to do, you know, so they were excited to learn about it, and they were excited to do it, as opposed to like kids at school that would just be like, you know, fuck off or whatever. And so that was a lot of fun. They would get really passionate about it, and they would get really excited, and you know, I can still like hear them like clapping and you know, congratulating each other and stuff, like after the first time that they would actually successfully finish a mission. In fact, the simulated spaceship and the mission control, like they shared a wall right next to each other.
Yeah.
And like you couldn't really hear anything except that one time when they would finish and they would yell, and we could hear each other from the different rooms. So we would talk over you know, a headset and stuff, and that's how me and my partner would communicate. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well,
did you
working with
still
kids
have
is
the
fantastic.
picture? Because I sent that to you, so you know, if you wanted to show it, of me in the flight suit, since
Well, not with not with the setup at the moment.
Okay.
I'll have to change that. We'll change it at the end. Remind me at the end, and I can change it at the end. I have a question that came in from Boomer there, just in reference to your climate science work, if we could do that. And it was, what is your thoughts on ocean mining?
Ocean mining? No. It's just a matter of, you know, upsetting any ecosystem, really, you know, especially something as delicate as an ocean. You know, 50% of the oxygen that we breathe comes from our oceans. You know, everybody says, oh, we get all our air from the trees. We don't. We get most of our air from the oceans. Yeah, and I've said, you know, I always feel like I'm repeating myself because because I say this a lot, but you know, when you fuck with one ecosystem, it's a domino effect, you know, down the line. So, you know, even just a small piece of the ocean, a small tiny bit of the floor, and you're messing with, you know, the fish in that area, the coral, and all of it. It's so delicate, and you know, just leave it be, I guess, so to speak. So, what?
No, it's just loud because you're passionate about it, you know, and I know you're holding back because I've seen you in conversations. You're probably feeling a wee bit nervous, like, but you get very passionate about it, and you do. It's very important to you, like.
Yeah.
You know, as much as it is nice to work with kids and see that, and you know, grab them while they're young, so to speak, and give them that incentive to, you know, grab their attention. Like, everybody wanted to be what they wanted to be. Sometimes when they're young, they always have that sensation of what they wanted to be when they were a kid. And it's because somebody or something grabbed them. And, you know, the fact that they wanted to be there plays a part. But, you know, having a week of doing that and working on a space shuttle, that could be a story for a physicist in 10 years' time. And, you know, that's an amazing thing. But the climate change, it is more important right now. Like.
Yeah. No, it is.
Do you have any other passions apart from your work? Do you have any TV shows? You have a podcast on your channel about TV shows. You did Buffy, I think, was one of your favorites at the start. But do you have any other passions and shows?
A lot. You know, I like the gangster stuff, so I like, you know, like Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire and those kinds of things. You know, Breaking Bad is like my second favorite show. Veep is my favorite comedy because it's hilarious. Yeah, I'm an insomniac, so I don't really, you know, I'm up all night, and sometimes I'll work because I work from home, but a lot of times I'll just sit there and chill and watch and binge watch a show till I have to get my son up in the morning. So yeah, I watch a lot of TV shows.
You know, it's not something that a lot of actual TV would be dying out now. Most people are on YouTube, but then, as you say, you're an insomniac, so it's good to stint things with Netflix and all that now, and it does give you that ability to sit down. I love that we didn't mention Star Wars now. You like your Star Wars?
Well, I mean, the Clone Wars is a show, but
you're wearing your earrings right now.
Oh yeah, wearing my my TIE Fighter earrings.
Where did your passion from Star Wars come from? We'll not ask about the Star Trek Star Wars, but is it just the movies, or did you grow up, or, you know, was there someone around you that enjoyed it?
Well, I mean, growing up, it was okay. I liked it, but it's my my son. Most of you know, I have a 16-year-old son, and he just like fell in love with it. And unfortunately, his first introduction into Star Wars was the prequels. So he actually like really liked the prequels when he was little. But since then he's amended that. I mean, he still likes them, but he knows that the originals are better. But his passion for it is what, you know, made me really, really like it. He's like an encyclopedia of Star Wars knowledge. I mean, he has this book. It's like this thick, and you can ask him something, and he will literally just like pop it open almost directly to that page, and then he can like tell you about it without even looking at that page. He has almost the entire thing completely and totally memorized. I mean, I'm sure he probably knows more about Star Wars than George Lucas himself. It's insane. If you ask him about any battle at all in the history of all of Star Wars, and he will talk to you about it straight for an hour at least, and be very detailed on it. Like, it is insane the amount of knowledge that he has. But like I said, he started with the prequels. I mean, we both love all of them, I guess, even the bad ones. He loves the Clone Wars, the animated show. Not so much the Rebels, because there's a couple animated shows. The Clone Wars is better. Um, some of the comics, the games, especially Battlefront 2 specifically. I mean, he loves both of them, but he's a diehard fan of the original. I think it's 2005 computer, version, the original one. Lego Star Wars he loves. Yeah, he loves Star Wars, and then I got
Obviously, having a mother that's into science and that sort of background, I guarantee has influenced him ever slightly.
a little bit.
A wee
He's
bit.
the one who gave me the earrings, and
Do you has he got a passion for the sciences?
yeah, he does. He for a while he thought about going into engineering himself. Now he's kind of like, he's 16, so he's not. Yeah. He knows where he wants to go to school. He's just not totally sure what he wants to do. Like if he wants to be an engineer or he wants to do computer, not programming, but like he wants to do stuff like they do at LucasArts, and make. He wants to make like Star Wars computer shows and stuff. And then he also has a passion for history too. He's really quite good at history. So I mean, but he's got time. He's a kid, so yeah.
Back to you. You, I've met from, I've seen you in the chats and stuff, and over this last couple of weeks, I've got to really know you. Been lucky enough, and you came from what we would refer to, if you were putting a name on it, like the Aussie group. They were your first group to accept to come on. I think it was Miro you mentioned that you came across first.
Yeah. I don't know, not that long. Like, I moved here. I live in the South, but I'm clearly not from the South. You can't tell by my accent or lack thereof. We moved here, my son and I, about 3 years ago for family reasons. It wasn't our choice, something we wanted to do. But, I'm obviously an atheist, and so is he. And we just, we're very alone here. It's very, Christian centric in the South. Specifically, I mean, we live in a suburb, so to speak. We live outside Atlanta. Yeah. And there are a lot of churches. It's a big way of life, and we just did not fit at all, really. At least he has, his school and his friends and stuff, and I didn't really. I had, finding anybody to really talk to or have any kind of community here was really hard because, it's just
actually working at home. It doesn't really give you the opportunity to go out and bump into workmates, like.
No, not really. So, yeah, it was lonely. And I didn't really know much about YouTube. Angel watched like videos, like music videos on it and stuff, and he would watch gaming videos. And that was the first thing I watched was a gaming video of another Irish guy, Call Me Kevin, and we would watch some of that. And then he showed me this video, Hannah and Jake video one day. It was like atheists watch something or other. They were watching some movie.
I like that.
I was like, what's the thing? Like there are atheists on YouTube. Okay, that's pretty cool. So the second person I came across was God's Engineer. So I started watching his stuff, and it hadn't been that long, but I stumbled onto Nervardia, and I had, nobody followed me or anything on Twitter because like I didn't really use Twitter. Like the only reason I used Twitter at all was to just like follow, like hear what people were doing. A couple of the atheist YouTubers.
Yeah.
But I had one day mentioned something about, like, I'd actually made a tweet, which I never did, and I had mentioned Mero Navardia, and she messaged me, she DM'd me, and we started talking and became friends. And through her, she had. I was up one morning, like, the not sleeping thing, and the Aussies do this thing called Six Pack on Friday nights for them, but it's Friday mornings for me. So it's like 5:00, 5:30 in the morning. And so I went and watched that, and it's Chris is the atheist pastor. That's his channel. He's the one who does that, and so he had me come on the show one day. Just I called in. I didn't want anybody to see me, and that was kind of how it started. They just so.
And what made you actually start your own channel, though? Did they just keep poking at you and annoying you to do it, or did you see crazy people? And I know one of your videos is climate change is not a hoax.
Yeah, no, pretty much everybody kept saying, there's a hole in the community because there's no atheist climate scientists or whatever. So I'm like, okay. But no, I mean, I didn't do it. I've told this to you guys like a million times. I did it to just stay part of the community and just stay connected with everybody.
But there's definitely a basis of knowledge that you have there that, not to put it that there isn't a climate change atheist, but there isn't anyone in that climate change field that we have. And it's wonderful to have that access to how quickly we're burning the world. We can tap you for that. Because what we're trying to do here is build a community with people that we can help, and we're only as good as who we have. And having people that have spent that time and putting that effort in to go and educate themselves, we appreciate it. We appreciate it, and definitely keep pumping out the videos. Have you what's the plans for the next one?
I'm working on one about the melting permafrost.
Can we get an exclusive? Are you just going to tell us that and go away?
Well, I mean, it connects kind of to the last, not the last one, the one before, because I talked about, how COVID is kind of just like a sneak peek as to what is going to happen if our planet continues to warm the way that diseases spread, communicable diseases, specifically through disease vectors and zoonotic diseases and whatnot. But with the permafrost melting, it's releasing certain things into the atmosphere, as well as releasing diseases, ancient diseases that we haven't seen in a long time. It's diseases that, as a species, we haven't had to deal with, so we have no immunity to anymore. So it is an issue.
I think it was Nerdy Rodent shared on Twitter last week or a couple of weeks ago that with the permafrost melting, they found a form of chlamydia that doesn't need a host to survive, and is just billions of years old, or we're millions of years old, just working away, been hiding down underneath that, and now we have access to it.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting, the chlamydia thing, because I remember reading a paper about that a while ago. Not this specific, whatever Nerdy was speaking of, but I remember reading about the venereal diseases like coming out of the woodwork from the fucking permafrost. That just sounds fucking weird to me. Who's fucking the ground over there or something? I mean, I know that's not how it works, but it just sounds like it does, doesn't it? So
obviously you believe in evolution. What's your thoughts on evolution deniers coming from your opinion?
No, there's no such thing as evolution. No. Bible and fucking, that's it. There's obvious. Yeah.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Does she realize that she's made a mistake?
So little knowledge about like what they, the creationists actually claim happened. So there was nowhere else for me to go other than I don't believe in evolution. So
yeah, well, you come from a Catholic background, so like the Catholics do accept evolution from the get-go. You weren't a young Earth creationist or anything as fundamental as that. Although people think, well, Catholicism is quite fundamentalist in its dogmatic beliefs and things like that. But I'll not steal Neil's show because that's coming up. But
it's not a story that everybody doesn't already know anyway. So.
But you never really believed. You always said you were cultural more so.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I never. I'm pretty sure I never really believed. It was like when I had knowledge that I could or could not believe. I mean, in terms of when I was like really really young, and it's just like that's a table. Well, that's God, and He exists. Yeah, it's the same kind of form of logic. It wasn't an option. It was just what it was, until I could question it. But I was the kid at Sunday school that always got yelled at because I asked too many questions or stupid questions or whatever. Fuck. I made my priest because when we were getting confirmed I don't know if anybody knows what confirmation is.
Yeah.
When you're in the Catholic Church, you become an adult in the Catholic Church when you're confirmed. So it's about 15 years old as a freshman in high school. And that was the only time like we would have confirmation classes on Wednesday nights instead of like normal Sunday school Sundays. And so he would come in and like he would go and sit in the back and listen. And I remember him like getting. I remember hearing him grumble, get up. Like I heard the chair push back like so hard it hit the wall, and he slammed the door. I was so the questions I was asking, because it wasn't just that I was asking the questions, but it was like a catalyst, because what I was asking was making some of the other kids ask questions too. And so, yeah, he was not happy with me.
No, it would. You'd be pushing a few buttons, I would assume. But there's nothing wrong with having an inquisitive mind. At the end of the day, it's astrophysics and things like that. You have to think. It's not just put down. Once you get to that level of mathematics and that level of thinking and stuff like that, you have to have an inquisitive mind. You have to be poking and sort of thinking outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever consider doing any research in the astrophysics field? Did you do any research in that, or was it all working just for the kids? And
no, I hadn't gotten to that. I mean, had I gone and gotten my master's and stuff, I was going to, my field of study was going to be the Kuiper Belt object in that region. That was what was my focus. What I did my undergrad thesis on. It was what I was interested in, but I didn't get that far, so I didn't finish. So
you like big rocks?
I guess. I think. Well, okay.
Now, before you go any further, right? Pluto, will it be a planet?
That's literally where I was going with this. You know that, right? So, I've told this again. I told the story too before, but whatever. In high school, we had I had this science class that was 2 periods a day for all 4 years. It was instead of just taking the individual classes like chemistry and biology and all that, they had a special class. It was called like integrated science or something that it was an option to take. So it was 2 periods a day for all 4 years, and we had to write a thesis paper every year at the end of the year. And I want to say my junior year, but I could be wrong. Could have been my senior year. My paper was Pluto is not a planet, and this was 9 years before it was. They demoted it. So, and I got a lot of shit for it from my friends in my class. I mean, they came around and they were like, okay, well, I mean, we see your points and they're valid and we get it. But it was also funny to them to be like, oh my God, you know, who are you to say one of the 9 planets isn't a planet or whatever? And, not a decade later, yeah, that happened. So.
Well, I have to say I was a big proponent of the 9 planets for a long time. It did take me a wee
Nope,
while to
fuck
come
that.
around. But when you
Nope.
look at it and you look at the actual size of it, it's not even as big as the moon. You know, it's tiny. It's definitely relative. You know, her points have been proven, and we can't argue with it. We can argue with it, and sometimes we might still argue with it. A lot of people have love for the planet Pluto. Clearly not you. Clearly not you. Pluto can go and fuck.
So, but I was trying earlier for you so rudely fucking interrupted me. There was something I really. Okay, that's
No, go on
fine.
ahead. Go on ahead.
I could go. I was looking for, like, when you first asked me to do this, I was looking for this for fucking ever, and I just found it yesterday. It was my tile from when I worked for NASA. So that, I don't know if you can see it. That was
The Challenger Learning Center.
So that's the icon that you know, that's what it looked like. Yeah, that was it.
No, that's very cool. As I say, it's nice to have things like that, because science is different, especially when people grew up in that age, you know. And Toy Story sort of put that across, where you move from the normal toys, and then space was all happening, and it was a real big thing in sci-fi. And a lot of us grew up in the generation where TV was coming out and sci-fi channel or sci-fi shows like Star Wars and Star Trek and other things like that. And yeah, people can get very passionate about it. I know that I love the bones of my things. If someone said to me, what would you run into the house and save if everybody was safe? That's what I'm running in to save. And I know other people feel like that about different, and we can all say we're selfish, but science is space and astrophysics, especially to me myself as well, because that's what I wanted to do, was very special to me because it's massive. Like we are so small and insignificant, so to speak, compared to it. It's so much more than what we are.
Yeah, I wear, I can't really tell, but it's an orbiter, the shuttle. I've worn this almost 20 years now. I've had this since before I got my degree. I've worn it every day since. In fact, I had thought I had lost it, and a friend of mine bought me another one. It was a smaller one though, but I found it and I gave it to Angel, so Angel wears the other one.
Yeah, so he definitely has an influence then. So it's your fault he loves Star Wars. We're confirmed. And I bet you he hates Star Trek too.
He doesn't care about it one way or the other.
Oh
so.
yeah, no influencing there at all whatsoever. So is there any questions anybody can think of in the chat that they'd want to ask an astrophysicist turned climate scientist that's a bit of a mouthy bitch?
Sorry, I'm not good.
One thing I find very interesting as well is what your heritage, just because I'm Irish as well, you have a bit of Irish and Dutch in you, is it?
My mom's side, Boston Irish, and my father is from Rotterdam, Holland. So I am first generation American. And I have a very, very, very Dutch name. So pretty much any name, I mean, if you see someone who has a name that starts with a last name that starts with a V, it's most likely Dutch. But nobody can pronounce my name when they see it for the first time or the second. Like, yeah, nobody can figure it out. So
I have a question for Dave, who's in the back room waiting to get on for the after party, so you can shout at him whenever he gets here. And he's now laughing, I bet you. Why did NASA fake the moon landing? And we all know they would have hit the top of the dome.
Can you boot him, please? The after party. Fuck you, Dave.
Oh.
No. I know he's giving me a hard time.
Did you have a favorite thing about space when you were growing up? Like, was there a favorite planet, a favorite nebula, or something? When I growing up, I had the Horsehead Nebula in like a black spray thing. You know, like Sal does, like a spray effect. I had that up on my wall. It was like the purpley color. I was at the what do you call it? The planetarium, and I thought it was beautiful. So I had that growing up. Had you anything similar?
I can't think of anything specifically. I'm sure there was. I just can't remember. I just know that Carl Sagan is my hero. I mean, I gobbled up everything that he wrote. I watched The Cosmos over and over again. I read the book before I even watched it. I remember getting it. My brother went to school in North Carolina, so we would go, drive. We'd go from Connecticut down to Charlotte, and then back over the course of a few days to drop him off for school at the beginning of the year. And I remember one of the times on the way home, we had stopped at this, like outlet center, and I had stumbled across it, a hardcover of the Cosmos, and I was like, no, I have to get it, and I still have that copy to this day. And I've always said that, like, had I ever been appointed to political office, that's what I would swear upon, as opposed to a Bible.
Speaking of which, Bill has asked a very good question. If you had the world implement a policy to help stop climate change, what would it be and why?
Wow. Okay.
Damn
I mean,
you, Bill.
Yeah. Obviously, fossil fuels are our biggest issue. But to say something like, just stop using fossil fuels altogether, I mean, that's just impossible. It would be a matter of phasing it out, I guess. But definitely, I say this a lot. Like I said, I feel like I repeat myself a lot, but it's really so much about infrastructure and what we need, especially in this country, because there's so many first world countries that are just leaps and bounds ahead of us because they were willing to, knowing that, yes, it takes time and money to, go from what we're used to what we need to do, but it's been worth it, not only for our environment, but even financially speaking for these countries, and we're just stuck with politicians that say shit like, climate change is a Chinese hoax or whatever the fuck. We are so far under the oil lobby's influence in this country, or big oil's influence. It's really sad, and but I think one of the most important things that we need to do and that we should be doing is saving the things like national parks and stuff like that. There really needs to be. It's so important for there to be just pristine, untouched parts of this planet. The too much of it it's not only do we reside upon it or we drill into it, any of it, it's just everything just seems up for grabs, and there really there aren't enough places in the world that it's just said, this is it, we're leaving it as it is, untouched. And that's a huge, especially under the current administration here in America. Trump has given over rights for drilling. He's sold off land. He's completely fucked with our national parks here in this country, and it's done a lot of harm already. So, but another thing too, and is about I, in terms of, I mean, we have the planet, and what we need to do for the planet to save the planet and the other species. But when it comes to humans, our one of our biggest problems is clean water. And it might not seem that way, especially for people like us who live, in, where we have all access to all the clean water in the world. There are places, specifically in the southern hemisphere, that are already experiencing a lot of changes due to climate change. The world is already changing, and there are droughts. There are expanding areas of both tropic and subtropic zones that are causing people to starve. People can't they can't feed their crops or their livestock. They just can't live. Eventually we will end up with these things called climate refugees, where people that can't live where they're living anymore because there is no water, because there is no food, they have to move somewhere that is, that can hold them better, that can take care of them better. But these people are already very susceptible to diseases that we're looking at, like COVID or the other ones that could spread rapidly because of climate change, because not only because of where they live, but because they're already undernourished and not getting enough water. And so water is an incredibly important thing that we need to keep an eye on, that people need help with. And saying keep an eye on it too, it's a good gauge on how badly things are going, not only for a certain area, but it's also a good gauge in terms of the planet. How fast are these droughts happening? And that's not to say that it's only about drought either, because there are places that it is becoming more tropic. There are places that there are more storms. It isn't just one thing. It isn't just about like, oh, the earth is getting warmer and that's it. I mean, people, you see those assholes that come into Congress with a fucking snowball and say, oh, look.
What about people who draw on a picture
Maps?
of a map?
Yeah, shit like that. No, it's about there's extremes in all situations. It isn't just one thing. It isn't just. That's why they don't call it. It's not called global warming anymore, because that's not it. That doesn't encompass what is actually happening.
Yeah, they were using that against them. It's some things do get badly named. It's just one of the things in the field, especially in science. A theory's badly named. The Big Bang it can be badly named, and there's other things like that can be used against you, which is why, for the reason that you say, they changed it from global warming to more so climate change.
Yeah. No, there's so many issues, but like I said, it's about extremes and weather. It's about extremes, in temperature. It's about change. There's just so much changing, and you can see it. And there's the idea that we are rapidly approaching, if not already involved in our 6th mass extinction event, and where so many species on our planet, both flora and fauna, are becoming endangered or extinct at rapid rates. And we can directly attribute this to the changing climate. So
yeah, well, I can definitely see why you changed from astrophysics then to climate change. Fuck, you're passionate. I was afraid to speak there for a wee minute. She's like, don't interrupt her. No, she's going. No. Well, I've put the link to the after party in the live chat. We'll be over there. I've set it for 1:15, which is 20 odd minutes away, but we'll be in there before that. We'll probably only be 10 minutes, but just gives everybody a chance to go to the bathroom, go get your dealer or whatever you need to do. All right, so we'll Mama, thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate you coming on, and I know you're here all the time, but it was nice to get a wee deeper dive and find a few other things about you and get a wee bit more information out of you, because you can't say no now. You're on screen. You're the star. So, thank you very much, live chat, for coming again. It always is. It wouldn't be anything without you coming and watching. So, we'll see you in the after party in about 10 minutes or so. And other than that, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.